Who are you? Who are you as a person? How did you get to be the way that you are? Well, we have a lot more information about that than we really ever have through a lot of research and a lot of studies that have been conducted by scientists, social scientists, and they've discovered that self concept is really formed through three different categories of things. The first one on the page you see there is social experiences, and this is what happens to you. All of the things that you've gone through from birth, the moment you're born, all the way until now have had an effect on you, both positively and negatively. And I guarantee you can think of both almost immediately. A positive could be, scoring 20 points in a basketball game and you got the gold medal and you were named MVP. Like, that's you'll never forget that. That'll give you confidence wherever you go. What a great success. Or winning a gymnastics tournament, or, singing in the talent show and you got a standing ovation, or getting an A on a quiz. Those are all great social experiences. We've also had very damaging social experiences. You may have been through an abusive relationship, whether it's emotional abuse or physical abuse. That's a very negative social experience. Getting cut from a team, failing a class, getting yelled at, being made fun of or bullied, or even having something worse than that happen. Those are experiences that can actually scar people for a very long time. They can be very difficult to overcome. So your experiences form your self-concept. The next category that scientists have developed is social comparisons. So the word comparisons mean to compare myself to other people. All right, so how often you compare yourself to your peers, which are the kids that are the same age as you, is going to have a tremendous effect on you depending on how important you view those things. If you see kids that have more skill than you or have more material possessions like nice clothes, sneakers, whatever, that may have an influence on how you view yourself. I'm not saying those are the most powerful things, and obviously we don't want to spend a whole lot of time comparing ourselves, but they are powerful. There was something that happened in the 1950s and 60s called Keeping Up with the Joneses. And this is a great sociological example of people comparing what they have versus the people in their neighborhoods. So if a person across the street put in an in-ground pool, people would feel immense pressure to put in their own pool or redo their driveway or paint their house or buy a certain type of car. As soon as the neighbor got one thing, the neighbor across the street would do the same thing. These are all examples of social comparisons. And then lastly, in today's lesson, I want to talk about reflected appraisals. And this is what you think people think of you. Okay, I'm not going to necessarily write it all down because it's kind of hard to write on the screen, but what you think people think of you. All right, it's what you think. Okay, that's an important part of this lesson. They may not be thinking it, but because you think they're thinking it about you, it may as well be true. When you walk into a room and you say to yourself, I think these people are going to think I'm stupid, or they're going to think I'm fat, or they're going to think that I'm not good enough, or they're going to think I'm dumb. It's not necessarily true, and oftentimes it isn't true, but we've made it true in our mind. And the mind and the way we think is a very powerful influencer over our feelings. So it's important to not engage in this negative worry cycle or this negative thought cycle that we put ourselves through. How often do you expect the worst to occur or happen? How often do you think people are thinking the worst of you? When in reality, they're not. But you're putting yourself through the ringers when you think those things before they're actually true. So our self-concept is formed in three ways. What happens to us, our social experiences, our social comparisons, what we think we have versus other people, whether it's skill or things or otherwise. And then lastly, what we think people think of us. So I want you to think, What are 3 examples from your life for each one of these categories? Okay, do you have a social experience, both positive and negative, that you can point to that have really influenced you? For me, my positives come in sports a lot of times. I was a baseball player and I had a lot of cool things happen in baseball. And then a lot of my negatives are, either mistakes I've made or poor choices I made, or, getting cut from a team was a negative experience, but actually being cut from a team ended up being a positive experience because I was able to reframe it. And that's something we're going to talk about here very soon, is taking those negatives and looking at them differently and learning from them so that you can feel positive about them. Have you ever compared yourself to people? How often do you compare yourself to other girls or guys or athletes or students in other classes? He's smarter than me. She's smarter than me. Don't get wrapped up in comparing yourselves to other people. It's really just going to make you dissatisfied. Worry about yourself and worry about being the best person that you can be, and the rest of it's going to take care of themselves. So that's a tip I could give you about comparing. And then, how often do you think negative things? In other words, do you really think that people are always thinking bad things about you? I want you to try to put a stop to that and remind yourself that that's not necessarily true. Until you know that's true, then it's not true. All right. Thanks for watching.